Here we go. Hello. Good morning, my friends of What and Why First. I am so glad to be here once again this week on a Thursday, 11 o'clock Eastern USA time with a very special guest. I have with me Taha Sajid. Taha has been a friend of mine since we met in Riyadh. Taha, that was back in 2008, December 2008.
Yeah, yeah,
And
Zom
since
18.
then, we have been keeping in touch. I have a lot of respect for Taha. He's an entrepreneur. He's a trainer. He's a thought leader. He is an international speaker. And he's a very bright individual. He covers significant number of technologies and also in significant amount in terms of business. And I wanted to feature Taha in my What and Why First event because there is a very special topic today. You know, how to position your business or positioning your business or start up business to attract investment. You know, every entrepreneur, including myself, because I am an entrepreneur, and Taha, you can probably relate to this. Every
Yes,
entrepreneur needs money, right? We are always looking for funding because we are the visionaries. We have the ideas. We know what it is coming down the road. We try to translate that into a business model. And an investment, of course, is the blood, right, for that to come alive. So we're going to be talking about that topic. In the meantime, Taha, if you anything else you want to say as part of your introduction, anything
yeah,
that you want to share with us?
yeah. I'm really grateful to be in this show, What and Why First. I've been actually following this for quite a while now, and I must appreciate that you're doing a great job. We are having a lot of following of this show also, and people in Riyadh and Saudi Arabia speaks about this show. So you can imagine about the hype that it is bringing, and it is covering a lot of good topics. And this topic especially is a very dear to me. Because we all have been seeing there are a lot of startups that is being evolving in this time. But what we are seeing is that somewhat we are seeing the challenges also that some startups cannot be or are not sustainable. Like they are starting, but they cannot go or they cannot make it to the investment stage. So today topic is a very interesting topic, and I'm sure that you'll be getting a lot of insights. And I'm really grateful to be a part of this show.
That is good. That is good. I'm glad that you join us. And I'm going to take a moment here because a lot of our friends are trying to join us live, and they're having troubles because there is one thing. If someone from LinkedIn is watching this live event, if you are a LinkedIn live rep or live expert for the LinkedIn company, please give us a link so we can share the link in advance with the people, especially if we update and we create a advanced registration in your website. Give us the link. In that way, we can share that with all the people. I have approximately 40 people right now that they cannot find the link to the live event. And that happened so far over the last 3 weeks. And I presume it's because it's owned by Microsoft. That is what we can expect, right? A mess completely. $1 billion company like you, and you cannot provide us a link for that. So I am frustrated. It's very frustrating. So here's what I'm going to do. YouTube is actually right now streaming this event, right? We're streaming via YouTube. So I'm going to basically share the stream from YouTube to our members. So instead of going to LinkedIn, they're going to go to YouTube. They're going to go to Periscope. They're going to go to Facebook. No one has problem sharing this event, but only LinkedIn. Okay, so I'm going to take a moment to do that. In the meantime, as I do this, Taha, can you share with us, first of all, who is the audience? Who is going to benefit the most from this event? Who are the individuals that should be paying very good attention to what is going to be said here? And also, if they replay this, who are they and why should they listen to this?
Yeah, that's very important. See, so what we are going to discuss covers a large audience. Why? Because it covers different aspect of the business, from very start about how you can structure your business plan, okay, and how do you construct an idea, like how, because we are living in a stage as we are bombarded with different ideas. So first of all, how do you filter that? What is that best idea that is suitable for your business, or you can take it forward? Okay. Then onwards, you will see that if you want to see like put up a snapshot of your executive summary. What are the different or what are the different criteria that you need to have in your mind to structure your executive summary? And then we'll be covering about product and services from like different solution architect perspective to all the way to the revenue and to the marketing stages. So if you're, let's say, if you're a project manager, or if you're a solution architect, or you are a leader in your company, so you can benefit all from this presentation. And it cover, and since it's covering a lot wide area of topics, so you can definitely, even if you're a student, I would say that because one day you have to be a leader, so you have to know that what are the different stages that goes in the life cycle of a product. And if, let's say that if you want to go to a conference, and if you see some startup pitches that has been happening, so you should have an idea about what goes into that whole process. So that is very important.
Right. And one thing that you mentioned there that is extremely important to me in particular is that right now, the time that we are now, COVID and the pandemic, it is, in my mind, it is a time to do two things. One of them is do a self-reflection in terms of your business model, right? Because any business model that you had in mind before COVID, you have to do a revision of it. You have to reevaluate. You have to reassess, right? Because COVID is not going away anytime soon. And hopefully soon, once it gets over, we get the vaccine and we are, out of this pandemic, business is not going to be the same. There is going to be a lot of things that are going to stay in terms of how people interact and what they consider valuable, right?
Exactly.
So that reassessment needs to take place now. And the second thing is, I think you will agree with me, many people will say, well, this is not the time to start a business because there is no business. Well, here's my grandma used to say, when there's strong winds, even turkeys fly long distances, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, when business is good and the economy is good and everything is fine, anyone can pretty much, limping around can start a business. But here's my challenge to you in a good way as an entrepreneur. If you can start a business now in this situation and find something that people find valuable and they are willing to open their wallets to give you money in this situation, just imagine what is going to happen in the future. Even if they don't pay you now, even if you do a freemium right now, even if you share at a lower, nominal value your proposition, but it's valuable to people and people see something that they want because it benefits them. Well, once the pandemic is over, you as a leader, as an entrepreneur, are going to be in a better position. Would you agree with that? That the people
exactly.
That say this is not the time to start a business.
I actually 100% agree with this, because as you mentioned that with challenges there comes opportunities. So if you are saying that there's no money over here, there's no business, is not running, you are wrong actually. Why? Because there are we need to understand first that the revenue or any business comes from the services. How much or what services you can provide, and you can find, and if you are hitting a right market, okay, then you can offer different services for that particular market, and that market might be useful for you.
Right.
So now if we are staying over here in home, let's say, so there are different e-commerce platform, let's say, or delivery companies that are doing good business, and people are saying like, people are going towards the cashless society. So where this cashless mechanism is been in place, so you can see even in this time there are a lot of opportunities that you can capture. It just depends upon how you look at things, and what sort of skill set you have. So maybe if you are saying that there is no opportunity, you are giving some excuses to hide your level of skill set, maybe. So just think about, like, if you are equipped, if you can equip yourself with some good skills, and if you can study the market well, you will be in a better position to tap these opportunities now. and people are doing it. Okay.
Right.
And
They
I
are.
just want to quote one story. I just want to quote one story over here. Back in March and April, okay, we have a WhatsApp group with our friends, like you all are having some sort of WhatsApp groups with your friends. And I was thinking about, we are having a lot of shares are going down. So whether we should purchase some, let's say, a cryptocurrency is also was going down back then. If you will see,
Okay.
like the Bitcoin value
Yes.
was going up to 3 to 4 thousand. And I was pursuing my friends to actually buy some cryptocurrency, let's say, or to invest in some stocks, but they say that, okay, we are not doing it because the market is falling, and it will going to fall even more down. you know and if you and fast forward, if you see the Bitcoin price right now, okay, it's touching up to $12,000. So
Mhm.
you just imagine that if you can capture some opportunities like this by then, and even now, okay, you will be in a better position. And if you reflect that, let's say 6 months back, you say that, okay, it was a good decision. So it's
Right.
just about perceiving the things, and how will you perceive that things if you have the right attitude and right mindset.
Right. So thank you, Taha. So I think we established, just to some friends already join us. Just to summarize here, right? We are already talking about positioning your business for investment, and we know that
Yeah.
this is for entrepreneurs inside corporations or outside corporations. In my mind, because
Hmm.
you can have an
Hmm.
entrepreneurial mind inside a corporation. This is for individuals that are seeing what is happening in their context and trying to adapt their business model so they can be more
Hmm.
attractive for investments. So, Taha, you created for us a nice, very impressive presentation. And I think let's go over that presentation
Sure.
because I think it would be a good way to introduce to others the topic and go in an orderly fashion, step by step. What do they need to do, again, to position your business, existing or startup, for investment and growth, right? Because that is the first step. You do
Yes.
investment, and then from there you move into growth. So
Yeah.
let's go to the presentation. Let me bring it over here.
Yeah.
So setting up a startup business. So let's start with that. So go ahead,
Yeah.
and just let me know whenever you want to bring the other slide,
Sure.
and we can have a
Sure. Sure.
conversation from there.
Sure. So how to pick a best business idea? Okay, because this is so important, so crucial, that because if you think if you think yourself, if you just think, you are having a lots of ideas about, you can go into the garment store, or you can do an e-commerce setup, or you can do a tech startup. So there are different ideas. So what I would suggest you, okay, first of all, look inwards. Okay, by so what I mean by that, so just imagine that what are the problems you are facing. Okay, because we don't have to go far beyond ourselves, or look to the market, because it will take a lot of more effort. But if you can feel, like there is some problem that you're facing in your daily routine, or if you're going to a grocery shop, there is not set up. So from your inner self, okay, you have to find the problem, okay, which you're experiencing. Because if you are experiencing, or if you find that problem, then you will be able to communicate better to your customer or to your investor. Okay, and then see about what skills are you good at. Okay, so there's no point in jumping into finance if you're not good in finance. So first problem, like, see what problems you are facing, then what skills are you good at. Okay, find your why. Because
Mhm.
if only you will be able to sustain your business if you can connect with your business really well. Okay, so finding the why is very important. Okay, then in the second step, once you find that why, you have to brainstorm the solution. That, okay, now I'm having a problem. I'll give you one example.
Mhm.
Whenever I go to a grocery store or a small shop, uh, that store will not be having a POS device, okay, to actually have a purchase with my debit card. I have to give them the cash. Okay, they only
Okay.
deal with the cash. They don't have a POS device to be able to use with credit cards and debit cards. So what I thought is that, why he's not having that POS device? Okay, so I started a conversation with him. So what he told me, that he has to pay some amount to the bank in order to have that device, and it involves some cost to him, and it's not
Right.
feasible so that he can have it. Okay, so the amount. So when I hear this story from him, I thought of an idea about how about if he's having his mobile phone with him, if he can able to accept the payments, okay, using his mobile phone, then he don't need a POS device. Okay, so there I thought the idea, okay, about that, how if we can introduce a cash mechanism into just accepting the payments using mobile phone, okay, and he can afford that. Okay,
Right.
so first of all, once you identifying your idea, then you have to brainstorm your solution, and you have to test your solution in a small group of people to have some validation that whether it will work in a long run or not. So the best way is to start with your family, to discuss with your friends about what your idea, what you are, having your idea in your mind, and then with your solution, how you can solve the problem, or you can have some sort of different solutions. In that solution finding stage, you have to study the market as well, like what others are doing, and is there any better way that I can come up? Because from here you will determine your value proposition, okay, which we will be going to discuss in the next slide.
Right.
Yeah. So, next
So and let me make a comment here, because we got a question. We have a few questions for some of our attendees. Christopher asked the question, very related to this topic. How do you decide on what product or service to start your business? And you basically answer the question there, right? I think in my mind, in my experience, that is the most critical question, right? Before you even start forming your team or deciding, looking for money, or even building a business plan, it is very important to have an understanding in what the value proposition is, right? And that is what you're describing here. You have to look inward, what is my passion, right? What I am good at it. And not necessarily you can acquire the skills. So let's say that you feel that you like, for example, media, like doing stream services, and you find that maybe there is an opportunity there. You can learn those skills if that is your passion. In fact, you will learn faster if that is your passion, right? So find your passion, then start observing and seeing, okay, what are the value opportunities there? Who are the players? What are they delivering? What price structure do they have? How satisfied are the customers right now with that, right? And then that will give you ideas to start experimenting, right? And like you said, I think it's very important to do brainstorm solutioning and validation, like you indicated there. And Taha, there is no better time to do that now, frankly.
Exactly.
You can go to Amazon for free for 1 year. You can go to Azure. You can go to, and you don't have to be a programmer. You don't have to be a technical person. You can actually, it's like Lego blocks, putting things together and immediately test them. You can actually bring a product, basic product, and start testing your ideas and getting feedback and building from there.
And there's two things that I need to mention over here. First thing is, people say that, okay, if I am doing something which is already in the market, okay, whether I'll be successful. There is a common myth that, okay, there is already such product lies in the market. Why should I need to go into that thing? This is absolutely wrong. Why? Because you can make it better. Okay, if you can connect with that product, and if you can see that, or if you can feel that your solution that you're providing is much better, or the quality of your product which you will be delivering is much better than your competitors, then you can excel. Okay, and the second thing over here that you need to first, if you can analyze your competitors better, okay, then you can pitch something or build something that is far better than him. Okay, so that we'll also going to cover in some slides. And one last thing over here is that, one last thing I need to mention over here, that don't think about a backup or a second business plan, or second backup, like if my business will going to fail or something like this. Okay, don't ever think about this. Okay, because if you want to do something, trust your abilities, define your passion, trust your abilities, and envision yourself that you will be successful in that business. So that's how you will build your momentum.
Right. Thank you. That's a very important point. Let's go now to the next slide that I think brings a very interesting point here, that now that you have that concept, right, that you want to experiment and you have found some positive feedback, for example, or you want to go to the next level, how do you bring that into reality and the business plans? Tell us your ideas about that, Taha.
Yeah. So first, now once you have your idea, you have your solution, you know what you're going to do it. Now what every investor wants is to have a business plan. Okay, like what you are delivering, how will you make it, how will you generate the revenue stream out of it, what is your target market, how will you generate the profit, what is the cost structure, why. Okay, so there are different components which you need to set up for your business plan, starting with executive summary. So we'll not be going into each of these details, but I'll just need to cover the basics about these, and then we can jump on to the next slide. So first is executive summary. Executive summary is like what you are delivering, why you are delivering, how you will going to generate revenue out of it, and what is the cost involved in it. Plus, who is your marketing or who is your team. So just a snapshot about these 5 points you have to put in your executive summary. Okay, because this is a building block. This is very important. Next is the business model. Like what is your value proposition? So we'll be going to discuss this, which I have highlighted in the red. We'll be going to discuss in much details. But business models, competitive, so all these components goes into a solid business plan, and this should not be more than 15 or 18 pages maximum. Okay, because this document or this report, what you can say, you will be giving to your investors, and he may not be having more than 5 to 10 minutes to read it. Okay, so you have to put it the precise information, okay, which he wants to look at it. Okay, now we can go into, I think, next slides, and then we can uh,
Sure.
actually cover some part of the business model. Yeah, now once we talk about business model, there are three things. Okay, just remember how we will create the value. Okay, this value creation comes in the once you're delivering a service like a value proposition. Okay, when I say about delivering value, once I say about creating value, it's about what is your product is about. Okay, how unique it is. Okay, is it, or have you studied your competitors, how much unique it is. Then what is that thing that customer can get out of it, because from that he will going to actually determine that whether he will be a long time customer or a short time, and what is that services which is in the need of the users, because there must be some things which the user will want to have it, but he does not necessarily want to have, have it for a long time. So that's how you will create value, by having a solid value proposition. Then how will you deliver the value, what sort of channels, what sort of touch points the customer will be having with your business. So that's also very important, that he doesn't need to, because we need to specify that. Okay, if let's say if I'm building a software application, okay, then I'll be having some sort of, it should be available both on Android and on iOS, and it should be, the registration process will be very seamless. Okay, so you have to make sure that once a customer is using that product, okay, he needs to be have quickly accessible to that one, and he should not be facing any hurdles once trying to use that product. Then how we will capture the value, this comes in the revenue stream, like what will be your cost structure. Okay, because this information you need to put it in your balance sheet and can be subjected to some taxation or some different things. So this is very important, like what sort of cost structure, what sort of pricing mechanism that you will be going to set for your product. Okay, then from that pricing models, what sort of revenue stream that you're having, what is the cash inflows, where the cash is coming from, what sort of different channels. Okay, let's to give you one example over here. If you're talking about a financial application, which is, let's say, a payment application. Okay, so your revenue streams can be at transaction fees. Okay, you can charge the users from, like, if they want to buy some amount of coins or some currency, you can charge the user from that, or you can have it from your sponsors, from ads. Okay, so there are three revenue streams which you're generating from your product. Okay, then if you're talking about a cost structure, what is going into that cost, like from developing an application, let's say, about maintaining the application, if you're hosting it in Amazon or in some cloud provider, what sort of maintenance cost it will be going to occur for the application to run. Okay, what sort of licensing fee. So this is all you will put in the cost structure, because From that, you will determine that what sort of profit you are making, So this is also very important. So this three things goes into a successful business model, and most investors look into this one very focused, like how you are delivering, how you are creating the value,
Right.
delivering the value, and how you are generating the revenue.
Right. Thank you, Taha. Your audio went off for a moment, but I just wanna say to our friends that are watching this video, Taha, what you're showing there is I am a fan of the business model canvas. Osterweider model canvas, business model, and there is also a value proposition canvas. So I really encourage people to look into this because, like you said, it's all about value. It's everything about value. It's not necessarily about the packaging. It's not necessarily about the product itself. It is how is your potential consumer of the product services perceives you in comparison to everybody else. Because most likely you're not going to come up, if you're lucky, you come up with something that no one has seen before. But most products are actually enhancements to existing services, existing products, with a different value, enhanced value proposition, right? Going back to time, quality, cost. If you can make something 10 times less expensive, 10 times faster and easier, 10 times more durable or reliable, you already have a business proposition, a business model proposition.
Exactly.
Yep.
There's one thing I need to highlight over here. Like we're talking about delivering value. So there are different things we usually sometimes overestimate the things in which we are putting so much effort in digital marketing and all of these things. So we need to also think about whether is it cost efficient, that all the delivery channels are integrated with each other. Okay, so there is also some important things which you need to consider. So once you are writing or putting this thing up in your considerations, make sure that you are well prepared while pitching your investor.
Right.
Okay,
very good.
Let's move it, I think, into the
next slide.
Yeah. Now the competitive analysis part. Now you have set your business model up. You have you have listed down the high level points. Okay. Then it starts with about understanding your market. What are your direct competitors? Okay, direct competitors which are already delivering the same service. Okay, so as I told you that if you are having let's say 4 or 5, if you are having an industry which is not having a monopoly, okay, it is having a fair market or having a fair market, you can have different competitors. Okay, so you have to understand how they are delivering value, what sort of unique value proposition they are having. Okay, and then it is indirect competition. So if you're talking about a fintech company or a payment industry, let's say, we can have banks as an indirect competitors, or the Western Union or Master Visa card. Okay, so you have to also study your indirect competitors, what they are. Okay, and then potential customers, like they're not having and they're not having so much growth right now, but they can be a potentially strong customers or strong competitors. So you have to streamline and list down all your competitors and then put it into some classification criteria. Okay, let's say what sort of features they are having, those features are valuable to you, or whether it is valuable. Okay, what is a different thing that you are doing for all of these things, because this also is a very good indicator that if you're having a good business plan, these should be well identified. Okay, and there are actually 5 forces that I need to highlight over here, and this is very important also. Let me yeah. So once you have classified these things, you have seen that, okay, now you have to see the 5 forces, which is the bargaining power of customers. That, okay, if I'm having different competitors, okay, my customers will be having different options to buy it. Okay, so we have to understand that what sort of pricing model I'm keeping. If we can understand the bargaining power of our customer, that's one. Then it is a bargaining power of our suppliers. Okay, if I'm having different suppliers, or if I'm having a one supplier. So if I'm having different suppliers, I'm having some options. Okay, so I have to identify my suppliers also in that case. Then, is there any substitute of my product in the market? Okay, or is there any new entrant which is coming into the market? Okay, so first, once you have identified all your competitors, classify them like it's a new substitute product, or it's having what sort of buying power my supplier is having, what sort of buying power my customer is having. Okay, and then once you have studied all of these five forces, then we can prepare a strategy how to mitigate those things or how to perform better in those areas. Yeah, so I think this is will be a very good indicator if you can study these with these five forces, which is like the Potter five forces, which is like the bargaining power of supplier and buyer, the threat of new entrants, the substitution of the product. So this is, once you have classified, it will be having, you will be in a better position to actually strategize your business according to that.
Right. And Taha, I think in my experience, many entrepreneurs that I know sometimes overlook this because they think their idea is so brilliant, is so unique, is so different, is so perfect that they ignore the competition or alternatives, substitutes to their idea. So when you ask them, they say, oh no, there is no competitors. There is no product like this anywhere. And you have just to bring Google and just Google just the idea, and you find 3, 4, 5, 10 companies doing the same, right? So what is your differentiation? Can you differentiate for them if you haven't done your homework? So this is part of the criteria that investors are looking for. So when an investor says to you as an entrepreneur, give me an analysis of your competition, and you said, oh, there is no competition, that is a dead giveaway that you haven't done your work.
Exactly.
Because there must be out there some degree of direct, indirect substitutes or alternatives to your product and your services. And you better know who they are, who are the leaders, what are they doing, what are the channels distribution they have, what the pricing structure that you have. Because if you don't, it will be extremely challenging for you to prove to an investor that you know what you're doing.
Exactly. I remember that I was one conference in Estonia, and there was a pitch up competition that has been happening, startup pitches competition, and I was happy to be one of the jury of that. And when that pitch over, when there is one product related to blockchain in supply chain. Okay, and I was asking this guy that, who are your direct competitors? He was like, we don't have any competition. We can have some indirect competitors, and we don't have any direct competitors. So people sometimes overlook this thing, but this is very important.
Right, it is.
I think let's go to the next slide.
Sure, let's go.
Yeah. So then comes the marketing and sales strategy. This is where the money will flow from you. You can say like this because
right.
and this is and sometimes, and why I put it over here, like there are a lot of buzz going on between digital marketing, so and social media campaigns, and and SEO, and all the buzzword that is being we are having. So people or entrepreneurs tends to or carried away with this, like they put so much money into this, and they end up not generating or not having a customer acquisition cost which will be settled. So this is very important. Okay, now so the first thing comes the price. What sort of, are you following a dynamic pricing model or a marketing cost by seeing your competitors price? What sort of model what sort of pricing model that you're keeping. Then what sort of placement of your product because once you have identified your target customer by doing some research, you have to set up the price for that. You have to set up the place of that, where you are going to place. Let's say if you're operating remotely, okay, how you are setting or how you will be interacting with your customers. You have to have some sort of on-site resource which are responsible for to have some interaction with my customer. Okay, and then what sort of promotion mechanism I'll be keeping it. Whether I'll be going some sort of referrals mechanism, or once I'll be attracting the users, I'll be giving them sort of freebies. Okay, what sort of a promotion mechanism I'll be keeping. And over here, I just need to quote one thing about social media campaigns now, or social media advertising or marketing, what you can say. Okay, now if you understand, or if you can understand the cost structure of those social media platforms, I want to highlight over here LinkedIn. Let's say LinkedIn charge with you if they are per click, if there are Okay, if you have post something and if you have certain likes or certain views, okay, which is a paid content, it will charge you based on that. Okay. And similarly, Instagram or Facebook. So if, let's say, if your customers are mostly using Facebook, okay, you to set up that model. Let's say, okay, Facebook charge $10 if one user will download an application from that paid content, okay, for one user. So even if your users are high, and if you are giving for one app installation, if you are giving $10, so it will be a huge, okay, it will be a huge expense. Okay, so first study all your users, that what your users are being using most social media platforms, and then classify it based on different criteria. You don't have to put all your eggs in one basket. Let's say only focus on Facebook. You have to first focus about your users using that platform, and then categorize it and putting like 20% into each media channels. Okay, and then I would not recommend you to start with search engine optimization or search engine marketing. Okay, because it will be too costly for you. Okay, because these things might not, or sometimes overlook some entrepreneurs, that they try to put too much focus and too much cost into this. So you can do like, you can set up different iterations. Like first month I'll focus on social media campaigns, then I'll do some sort of different promotions. Okay, so you have to have a balanced approach once you will doing a promotion or some campaigns. And secondly, you can think about, normally people go to some different conferences to pitch their products. Okay, which I feel like, which I, I've been to different conferences. I see, different startups coming, or there's some different booths which are having from the startups. Okay, people tends to these days, especially, or before COVID, I would say, people actually visit the conferences just for the sake of have some good networking mostly. Okay, you will not see good investors, okay, going there. So if you are going to a conference to pitch your product, you have to see that what sort of investor coming, and what sort of other competitors you will be having. You can have an idea about the standard of the conference. Okay, so that's number one. Okay, number two is that if you think that you have to give, instead of digital marketing or some strange marketing strategies, you can think about focusing the quality on your product. Okay? Because if your product is having a good quality, if your team is good, you have studied your do all your basics well, your investors will come to you. You don't have to get to your investor and pitch your product. Okay, so
Right.
you have to focus, instead of putting so much budget into this marketing and sales strategies, you have to focus on your product, and you have to know your customer, that which platform you're using, and have a sustainable and a balanced approach for that.
Right. Taha, I remember that for the longest time, the marketing experts, I'm talking even before the internet is what it is now, the traditional marketing, it used to be said that you have to apply the 3 Ps, right? The 3 Ps of marketing, which were traditionally, product, price, and promotion, right? That was pretty much the idea. And well said, your explanation on this. But I think I like to highlight from your comments two things that I think that are critical for, or maybe more. So
If I may connect my charger, if I may,
sure.
yeah, just hold on for 1 minute, yeah, please.
Yeah, we're giving a minute to Taha to come back.
Yeah, just
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure, it's okay.
Take your time, my friend. So good.
Yeah.
All good. All good.
Yeah, please. Please.
So no problem. So first of all, product. I think if you have a physical product versus a virtual product, there's different approaches there. But in general terms, it doesn't matter if it's physical or a digital product or a service. Include personalization in it. I think it's important to include the other P, that is personalization. Nowadays, for very, very marginal cost, if you have a physical product, you can actually do mass personalization of that product to differentiate yourself, right? So think about that as an entrepreneur, right? Maybe the same product that is out there, you are enhancing it, you're making it better, different, faster, cheaper, etc. include the other P, which is the personalized experience associated with the product. Also, promotion. When it comes to promotion, in my experience, I have done a lot of promotion with zero budget, basically, with zero paid promotion. And that is by telling stories. You know, if you're an entrepreneur and you are passionate about your product and your customers feel that you are doing something good and excellent, that is the best promotion that you can get.
Exactly.
So leverage
Exactly.
that. You may not have the budget to pay expensive ads in Facebook or LinkedIn like everybody else is doing, right? They spend millions of dollars every day in advertisement. But a genuine story, someone speaking from their heart as to what is important to them, that goes beyond any amount of dollars that you can pay. So leverage your passion, your stories with others, you know, through social media for free, basically. You know, it's very important.
Exactly. And there is two things I need to highlight. First thing, you don't need to, if you are thinking about from a marketing and sales strategy, you don't need to have a team for that. You can outsource and do an on-demand model in which you can have like a SaaS model in which you can, you know, outsource and you can pay or do the marketing as per the volumes that you are generating. You don't have to hire the team on site for that. So that's
Right.
people can, you know, leverage this facility which we are which it is which is available in the market. The second thing is that people usually go for the reviews, you know. So try to get some reviews for your product. If you are having a startup that has been going on, and if you are having some product testimonials, so LinkedIn and your networking friends are a good way in which you can generate good reviews for your product, and people actually tends to look at those reviews. Okay, they don't want to go or think about something else, because once somebody is doing it, people tends to follow the trend. So you can also leverage this thing.
Right. You know, if I want to buy a product, especially if it's something substantial, I want to ask people that I know, hey,
Yeah.
what type of car are you driving? You know, how do you like that car, right?
Yes, exactly.
You know, and the same goes with even basic things. You know, that those review, that feedback is important. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
You
let's
want to
go to the next
next slide. Let's go to the
slide.
next slide here. This is about the revenue model, which actually some
Yeah.
people ask about that. You know, in terms of the model, there's so many options. If you can just give us an idea, this wheel actually is excellent to explain that. Go ahead, Taha.
Yeah, this is the first thing, that who is paying you. Okay, this is very important. And this, by the way, this revenue model I see in a lot of business plans, this is not making any sense. Okay, like what people are showing, or to the investors especially, they are, you know, missing some of the important things. So this is very important, so you have to focus on this. So who is paying you? Like whether are the advertisers, are the sponsors, or are they your usual users or the clients? Okay, usual having you're having. So you have to categorize all of them specifically and explicitly. Who are those people? Okay. Then the second thing, what is paid? Is it only cash? Is it like a data? If you are talking about an exchange or a social media platform, they can sell you, or they can, instead of the cash, they can give you the data. Okay. Or is the activities that they will allow you to do certain activities, or the shared stocks? So what is paid? Is it only the money or different things? So just categorize those things. Then for what is paid, it is always a product, or you're having some sort of result based pricing model, or per use model, or per add-on. Okay, so imagine that if you're having let's say a fintech company, let's say, so you are having some sort of referral cost for that one, or for the amount of transaction fees that you're having. So you have to explicitly mention that for what is paid, what is the service that you're offering, what sort of different services that you're offering, from where will you generate your revenue stream. Okay, so you have to explicitly mention. And then how is paid? Is it a subscription model, or a credit model, or a lease model? Okay, so this is also, because if you're having a credit model, and if you want to pay out some of your investors or your users, or you have to buy something, and if the and and the credit amount is, suppose if you can have, or you have to get it in 2 months, after 2 months, that will be a pain for you. Okay, so you have to explicitly mention what sort of a payment, or how it is being paid. It is a monthly payment, or what payment. then how much is paid? Is it a dynamic pricing or a volume discount or an auction? Okay, how much is paid? You have to specifically mention that. Okay, now there is for the transaction fees, or if my one of my product will be going to sell, I'll be going to, for like 10 products, I'll be charging this, or I'll be taking some sort of fixed thing, or it's a dynamic pricing model. What sort of pricing model you're following in this? So if you can cover all of these areas, okay, you will be in a better position to actually structure your business and get the revenue out of it, because revenue is what will make you sustainable. Okay, and then there is two things over here, two things I need to mention, or two terms that we use in this. So the first is the CAC, or customer acquisition cost, okay, which you have seen in some revenue models. So this actually customer acquisition cost is the marketing and sales cost, basically, that for one customer, to acquire one customer, how much spending you're doing in your marketing and your sales efforts. Okay, so that is one important thing to consider. And then we use a term called COGS, which is cost of goods sold. Okay, so in your revenue plan, you have to explicitly mention, like, from your revenue, like a transaction model. Okay, so let's say if you are having three revenue source, one is the transaction fees, or one is the sponsored fees, which you will be going to get. Then in the expense section, you will mention about the CAC, that what is your marketing and sales cost. Okay, then what sort of cost of goods sold. This cost is going to be also very important, because this is the maintenance and operational cost. Okay, so once you're calculating the profit, you have to explicitly mention all of these things. Then you have to mention your revenue. Then only you can determine your profit out of it. Then this also will set up the projections. Okay, right. Let's say that if in 1 year you are making, let's say, $1 million. Okay, so now the investor will ask you that you have projected the second year revenue to be more. How you're certain that you will get your growth of the customers or to that level, or if your projection will not as per what you can think of, or what you have meant, what sort of mitigation strategy, or what's the backup plan for that. Okay, how will you cover that sensitivity, that if you're not going to meet your projections, and that only you will going to determine once you will have listed all your fixed variable costs that will be going into your startup. Yeah.
And this is great, Taha. Thank you for sharing this with us. This wheel should be in every entrepreneur's handbook, yes. Because if you cover each one of these W's, what I call the W's, the who, the what, for what, the how, and how much, you have your bases covered. And I will add one more. I will add one more to this. It's where the payments are made, right? Because nowadays, business is international. However, whatever payments are available to you in your locality may not be available for people in other countries, right? So you want to make sure that your revenue model is scalable on a regional and international basis, right? So if you are an international business, or you have a presence internationally, and you want to plan to sell services, especially digital services around the globe, make sure that the where, meaning what points of entry your customers have to make payments, don't make it that difficult. Make it as easy as possible. Yeah, there may be some costs associated with that, but you have a Stripe, you have many other services available on a global basis. PayPal is one of the most expensive, but I think it's one of the most reliable ones. So those partnerships are also important in order to assure the investor and say, yes, we know what we're doing. It is, for example, a global organization. Here's the mechanism that we're using. It's reliable, it's secure, it is safe for our customers and consumers. That brings some assurances as well.
Yes, and if you can nail this down, or if you can nail this, revenue model down, that, if you have a solid grip,
yeah.
Believe me, most investors will ask the question from this, because what they want is the money. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is the love for the business, right?
Yeah, exactly. And how they will going to, and you can do one thing, just Okay, for the tip that I can give you now is that because now if you experience the startups that is been going on, or they are usually or facing troubles in two fronts. First is the data protection, okay, which is the GDPR and all of these things. And
Mhm.
the second is the cyber attacks that is happening.
Okay.
Okay. Like, because if I'm an investor, if I'm giving you the money, and if you're putting your business, and there is some bad actors who are stealing the data from that, and you are end up saying that I cannot do anything with this, it is happening, you live in a bad situation. So if you can think about, and you can add one element from the security aspect, from the security standpoint, okay, this will make your revenue model look more good. Like, so we try to say that in that customer acquisition cost, or in the cost of goods sold, okay, you are considering a cost on the security front as well. That will give a good indication that you are really good in what you're doing.
Great. So we have covered very important fundamental basis. So there's a way to build a good plan. And Taha, you have been a mentor to many organizations. You're also a trainer when it comes to startups. I really encourage you, our audience who are friends that are listening to this event, reach out to Taha. He has a very strong presence online, on social media, especially in LinkedIn. Reach out, and if you have questions about any of these topics, a very interesting topic.
I'll be
So we
glad. I'll
move
be
now
glad.
to the pitfalls, right? So we know that if you follow the steps, you are going to enhance your opportunity for success.
Yeah, I think we have
Uh,
missed you. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Now you're back. Yeah,
yeah. So we're going to go over the pitfalls, right? So let's go to the next slide to explain, some of the problem areas that we may encounter. Go ahead, Taha, on this area.
yeah. So the first is the marketing plan. We need to. It's not a wish list. That if I'm saying that, okay, I'll be having, let's say, 100K of my users being acquired from a certain marketing plan. Okay, you have to actually justify this. That, okay, what the numbers you are quoting, okay, or the spending that you're doing in your marketing plan is really justifiable. Okay, you have to do some groundwork. Okay, you have to interact with your users. Okay, you have to have a proper ecosystem in place, if your user is having some sort of problem. Okay, so for your marketing plan, expect some tough questions. Okay, like, what sort of budgeting you are taking for this, and whether you are making that, or whether you are acquiring that customer for a long time, or it's only for that particular 1 month. Because if you are, imagine, let's say, if you are putting good amount of money in that marketing campaigns, or and if that customer is only being retained for only 1 month, then it's a problem for you. You want that customer to be a long term. So devise a plan in which he will be going to, and you can justify that it will be going to last for a long time. So that's one. Two is the management team. It's like, this is also one of the things which startups lack, that they don't have a right person for the right job. It's not like, if I know if he's my friend, and if he's a good software developer, then I can make him a CTO, or I can make. So you have to study your background, so that you have to study your teams, that what sort of backgrounds they are coming from, and what is their achievement. Is it relevant to the job that they're taking, or the role that they're taking, or not? Because investors also will ask you that, okay, you are one CTO, one CMO, okay, what are their achievements? Okay, because they will going to be trusting you once you can able to prove that you are capable enough to save, or to make a good profit out of his investment. Okay, so management team cover all your bases with your achievements, with your profiles, so that you can have a solid base. Then the financial plan that we actually already discussed, that set up your projections right, and think about some sort of sensitive analysis about, if your projection will not be going to meet, what you will be going to do about it. Okay, and if you have mentioned, let's say, like in the year 2 or year 3, you have mentioned that your business will scale up to 25%, or if you will go into some other region, okay, whether you will be, or if something bad happened, okay, what sort of redundancy or what sort of, a disaster recovery plan that you have, okay, or if there is a tax that is being incurred to you, okay, which is not being written, okay, how you will manage that, okay. So there are different things that you can think from the financial perspective that you have to take care.
Right. And I'm sorry, and that covers the fundamentals, right? Because those are the key areas, right? What is your value proposition, branding, positioning, consumer expectations, right? In terms of your business, who do you have on your team to actually realize that? It may be a very good idea, but who is realizing this, right? And I think that the management team, I know that could be challenging for new entrepreneurs, because there is this, like in any other field, there is this idea that if you already are an entrepreneur, like a serial entrepreneur, we know that it's easier for them to get funding because they already have done it before. But if you have not done it yet, it's very important that you have a solid team, that even if it's people who are mentoring you, people who bring credibility to your assertions, that is actually important. Like having an advisory board, even if it's 2-3 people,
Exactly.
senior people,
Exactly. I was
that
coming
want
to
to
it.
give you advice, right? That brings to an investor assurances that it's not just you. You also have other people who are experienced,
Exactly.
also mentoring you into this. And of course, the financials, the money, you should be very clear as to where the money is coming from, how it's going to be spent, how that the return on that is going to help the growth and the establishment of the company. You should be able to explain that clearly. So that is quite important. Let me bring. There were a couple more questions that some of our friends provided you. So let me bring the questions here, Taha. Perhaps we can already answer some of those, or maybe not. So let me bring them over here. Okay, so how to choose the best structure for your business. And I wasn't sure if the question, I sent an email back. I wasn't sure if this friend was asking about, operational structure, financial structure,
I got that.
value
I got this.
proposition, marketing structure. So I think my response to that, and you can add to this, is structure your business as Taha is pretty much describing here. These 7 steps that he's giving you, it's a plan for you, it's a checklist for you to identify all the pieces that you need in order to structure that business idea into something that, number one, can be proven. And this is very important when it comes to whatever structure you define. Make sure, in my experience, make sure that you test that hypothesis. Test your hypothesis as to your business idea in 2 terms, value and growth. If you can prove, even a small scale, that your business idea has value and can grow because there is a market, there is for that, then the structure that you devise for that is going to follow. Taha, any other thoughts about this
Yes.
structure for your business?
Yes, I think this business structure, what I can think of is from the legal perspective. Normally,
Okay.
usually what happens is, like, when there is a co-founder setup or a partnership setup, they go for an LLC structure, uh, which is limited liability corporation, okay, or an LLP, which is limited liability partnership. In this case, what happens if, let's say, if I'm having a co-founder with me, and if he is doing some mistakes, okay, which can cause my business trouble, or which can have some sort of loss, I can have some sort of loss, okay, I'll not be liable for this, okay, he will be only responsible for that. So this comes with an LLC model, okay, but the good thing about this model is that you don't have to pay some good taxes or much taxes for that, okay, this from the legal perspective, okay. Then, but the drawback of this model is that usually investors don't prefer to work in this LLC model. Okay, why? Because there is no so much legal framework or so much accounting controls that you need to show to the regulatory bodies. Okay, so they don't feel safe, so they don't prefer to or to put investments in this LLC model. So if you are a startup, think about a flexible, which is an LLC or an LLP model, then go to a corporation or an S corporation or a G corporation model, in which you can be able to have more taxations. Okay, but there will be more investment opportunities.
So that's from the legal standpoint. And as you have mentioned about from the structure points of from the structure point of view, that if we can cover all our bases, we'll be in a better position to actually to make our investors attract our business.
Yeah, that is a good point. I missed the legal structure as well, and I think my recommendation there is to basically say, look at your environment, right? Your investor and investment environment, to understand the context of what is acceptable and not acceptable from the investor's perspective. Remember, you are positioning your business for a pass-through taxation corporation, like an LLC or even an S corp, because the taxation goes through the person. It goes through you, and then they will, in some cases, prefer to see a full-fledged C corporation, for example, which is completely independent of the directors. If that is the practice in your area, well, then adapt to that, right? And if there may be more flexibility in other places, where a pass-through entity, is okay.
And it depends on each jurisdiction. Maybe some jurisdiction do not support the LLP model. Okay, so once you are writing your business plan, study your market and see that what is acceptable in your jurisdiction and how you can cover your basis. So I would suggest you as an entrepreneur that take a legal consent on this matter. Okay, because there are some things which are revised often. So if you need to be updated about what is the legal stance for your business, then you have to take a legal advice on this.
Right. And yeah, on that point, well said, Taha. I will suggest the entrepreneurs to get some degree of legal advice early on, so they can structure things properly. And also, when it comes to investment, there is so many considerations from a legal perspective, in terms of control and investment, right? Where how the money is positioned. Those are very huge legal documents, right? So you're going to need some very serious, trusted advice when it comes to that, to the legal. Let me go to there's a couple more questions. How will you make your business ready for investment? Well, I think this whole series was about that, right? Making it ready for investment. And then there is one more friend that says, I would love to hear about startups. And I think taking those two questions in tandem or comments, I will say, Taha, that in my experience, and please share with I would like to hear your thoughts. If you are already established business, right? You already have, perhaps you are a small business, you have seen some success, you have already some revenue, maybe you have some challenges in terms of growth, right? That is a different scenario. That is startup, in which there is not really a product, there is not really sales in place. There's just projections. And let me tell my friends, because I have dealt with some investors here in the USA. They understand that. Investors understand that in some cases you do not have the numbers. You don't have sales. You don't have revenue yet. You don't have, because it's an idea. That is more at the very early stage, when you're looking like more for angel investors, seed money, just to get your idea to the point in which you can prove the hypothesis for value and growth. So, Taha, any recommendations from those two perspectives? Being a pure startup, very early, looking for seed money, proof of concept, versus a small business that perhaps is doing relatively well, but they want to grow and they're looking for financing there. What would be the approaches for those two? Your audio is off. Your audio is off for some
Yeah, I
reason.
think now.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, now it's fine.
you're in
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. So the
Please,
first
you
thing
can
is
restart.
that if you're a startup, try to get a product ready into the market, like a small MVP. Okay, because investor usually wants to see a working product. Okay, it's good to have a good business structure, all of the documentation ready. Okay, but okay, there's nothing better like a working product. Okay, and try to add those functionalities upfront, which is ready for the market. Okay, or which the user wants now, or which can give you the solid emphasis, okay, impetus in your product. So that's number two. And for the things, or for the already established business, which you want, if you want to get the investment, okay, try to see that, try to actually do some internal homework about, whether are you following the new trends, or why investor will be interested in you. Okay,
Right.
what things are you doing different? Are you using some sort of digital technologies which are not being used by your competitors? So you have to position your product in a way to attract the investors, and you have to also study that what sort of investor you are facing. What sort of things that they will be interested in. Okay, so you have to do your homework well, and for the new startups, you have to work on your MVP and give and launch an MVP which is ready for the acceptance.
Well said. Well said, Taha. Thank you. So again, that is we're getting in close to the end of our time here together. Taha, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. You are 7 hours ahead of the Easter time. So
I'm getting one call also.
it is already quite late there, actually. So I appreciate that much, because as I said before, I think you are right into the leadership space for startups. I encourage my friends here on LinkedIn and other social media to follow Taha on LinkedIn. He always has a very strong presence online. Much appreciated. I think this is going to be a great event to be replayed. So I'll be sending these links to our friends. We are actually right now we're simulcasting to LinkedIn. Hopefully it's in LinkedIn somewhere. We'll find the link sometime in the future. YouTube. Many people are watching on YouTube right now. I sent the link to all the registrants on YouTube, so they can watch it from there. And we're also sending it to Periscope, which is Twitter, and also Facebook. So I'll be publishing those links so you can replay this and get notes from it and connect with Taha. Taha, thanks again.
Yeah, I just want to close give one message that you have to be, if you think there is some confusion or you need some more explanation, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be glad to help you. And thank you, Mr. Batista, for having me. It's a great time, and just for the people who don't know, because you are my mentor, and I really look up to you for some advice or for something. So I'm really grateful to be a part of this show.
That is good too. Thank you so much. Okay, friends.
Okay,
until
friends,
next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Care. Bye-bye. Stay safe. Take care.
Hi, I am Josue Batista from What and Why First. I created this video blog to share with you my thoughts about relevant trends in leadership, strategy, innovation, and value creation. If you want to watch more videos, make sure you follow my blog so you never miss any of my new videos with more tips about technology and business. And if you are already a senior leader in charge of making decisions in your organization, and you would like to put some of these strategies in place for yourself, go to josuebatista.com